Hey everyone, it's Elena for another weekly update. This week, I want to talk about the American dream, a phrase that I'm sure almost everyone has heard, and especially from foreigners that are not from America and probably don't have anybody that lives in America, but they talk about this American dream. And I think it's awesome that people have these ambitious dreams. But one thing I noticed as I was growing up is that what Americans coin as the American dream, which is basically you go through school, K through 12, you graduate, you go to college, you graduate college, you get a job, and that job helps you get a house, buy a car, eventually, or maybe beforehand, you get married, you have kids, and then you live happily ever after, which is great, right? It's a fantastic dream. It's a fantastic lifestyle that everyone has this perception of, right? And I think that's great. And that was something that was kind of instilled in me even as a kid when I came to America was, okay, you need to have good grades, you need to go to college, you need to graduate, you need to have a really good degree, so that way you have a career for 30, 40, 50 years, however long. And you need to save up for retirement and eventually go find yourself a husband and have kids and so forth. And the first time, honestly, that I ever felt like I was living the American dream or had achieved it was when I bought my first house. I remember, basically I was driving to the title agency, and it was probably about 2 hours to sign all the paperwork. I put an offer in, it took 1 or 2 months, and then I closed. And I recall, like, I wasn't emotional at all. It was something I was saving up for some time. I was really making it a point to save up for a house. It was time to get out of rental and just start adulting, basically, and living the American dream. And I remember signing all the paperwork, having really no emotion at all. And I got in my car, and I was driving, and from the title location to the new house that I just bought, it's probably all of 5 miles. I got in the car and I start driving off, and for some reason, I just start bawling out of nowhere because I'm not sentimental or emotional over those kind of things. And it was just so bizarre. And I was like, wow, why am I crying? What is there to cry over? I just bought a house on my own, first house. Why am I crying? And then as I'm having this conversation with myself, I realize, oh my gosh, I am living the American dream. That's a huge proponent or component of the American dream. And in that instance, I felt like I was achieving what most Americans get or want to have or whatever. And it was a great accomplishment, and it really was. But then the older I get, the more I realize the things that are your standard American dream begin to really, unless it's your personal dream, what the American dream standard really starts getting you into is a trap. And I'm not making this political at all, but some of the things I've been noticing that are dreams are ways to trap you in your thoughts and your ambitions and goals and so forth. And so what I thought was my American dream and what was ingrained into my brain as a child, and now my parents wanted the best for me, I understand that, But when I would push back on, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want this kind of degree because of this, and I honestly, actually, fun fact, most people probably would be surprised by this. When I was in middle and high school, really all my education, until I got to college, I could care less about my education. I had an extremely short attention span. My English was pretty poor until at a certain point. My mother, she was very short with me. I got very frustrated, especially if she was trying to help and I wasn't getting it. She was very short. My siblings are very intelligent and things came like so quick to them. And for me, it was, I'm a visual learner and I can't read something one time and just get it instantly. There's certain aspects, sure, but I like to reread it, see it, hands-on. It's kind of all of the learning spectrums. But it was very frustrating to my mom, but when she was helping or would grade or whatever, that I wasn't picking it up as quickly as my sister and brother. And a lot of the areas I struggled in were math. And looking back, I don't know if I really struggled or it was just, she didn't understand how to help me in the way I needed help. And I remember, to this day actually, I always felt like I was the dumb sibling and kid, and they were so smart, and I was just the dumb one. And I think at a certain point I accepted it as reality. I'm like, oh, I'm not that smart, because I just always felt like I was not smart. And in college, I did much better. There was just a switch of, okay, this is on me, and I have my own control of my life and the way I want to learn. And I remember too that my mother would tell me, well, you're not smart enough to go to UF. You're not smart enough for this. And so I think in a certain way, I kind of accepted that I'm not smart, because I have an adult telling me I'm not smart. And I was really into sports. That was probably another American dream part, but I was really into sports. I played competitive soccer and softball, and I was very good at it. In fact, I remember to this day too, I said, the only reason I would go to college is because I'm getting a scholarship for sports. I don't care about my education. And when I was in about high school time frame, I tore my rotator cuff. And at that point, I had a reality check of, crap, I may not be able to play in college, and I probably should have a path that's not including sports, because I didn't know if I could recover. And thankfully, I had that mindset, because I couldn't. My shoulder was done for. I pretty much had no career after that. And there was just something that made me go, crap, I need to figure this out and figure out what I want to do in college, because beforehand I was like, I'll just do criminal justice. It was just some degree to get my scholarship in college for sports. And only, I think I was freshman, sophomore year of high school, did I realize, like, okay, I need to be a little more serious. And I started at that time, a lot of cyber security items were getting brought up, and I started reading about that. I would read books about algorithm engineering for fun, and a lot of technical articles, and I would watch different web cyber attacks and look at trends. And I was a really weird high schooler, if you think about it, but I was really intrigued by that. And so I decided I'm gonna do IT cyber. And I remember it's like in the engineering department for most colleges. And both my sister and my mom actually told me, they're like, well, you know, you wouldn't be a real engineer. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, you know, you're not gonna be a real engineer. Okay, cool. I'm still gonna go to college and I'm gonna do my own thing. So when I got to college, I did the coursework. I kept quiet. I didn't tell my parents what was happening, what grades I was getting, other than I'm passing and I have a great GPA. And these are the things that, like, it's so funny because part of the American dream for a lot of people are to go to college and get an engineering degree or any kind of degree. And I was very fortunate to have enough education in my middle and high school to set me up to get scholarships that I went through college without basically any debt coming out. But still, it's just like, it was like I was living this American dream, but I was also being beat down by the American dream. And it's just interesting, as I continued to grow up, all the things, I would not change my life because things had to happen to get to where I am today. But if I could talk to anyone that was maybe adopted overseas, and really any adoptee that gets pressured to be a certain way by their parents and siblings by going into engineering or telling them you're not a real engineer because they're not mechanical, electrical, whatever the other ones are. Think about what you really want. My mom never asked me, what is it that interests you? It was more like, you need to do this. And that's fine, but it's up to each person to fulfill what it is they want in their life versus continuing to listen to other people and the way that they want you to live and the way that the American dream is. Because the American dream that most people might have is not the American dream that everyone has. And I realized the more and more I get older and more aware and of myself and my aspirations, the less of the American dream that I want. I don't necessarily want to be stuck in this one area. I don't want to fast forward and have a husband and have kids right off the bat. Like, for me, it's, I want a career. I want to do a list of things, which is such an abnormal thing of the American dream. In fact, I'm perfectly happy if I was living in a 400 square foot condo or anywhere, really. Like, for me, a house, I felt like a house was a good investment, and it is, but it was what I needed to do versus maybe what I wanted. I want a house, but the pressure that I had growing up was, you need a house to fulfill this American dream. And I just want to share that because as anyone who's coming overseas, whether they're adopted or they're just international, the American dream limits you to your own maybe belief system or your own aspirations. Really start thinking about what is it that you want and how can you achieve it. And it doesn't matter if it's the American dream. Don't fit into this template of an American. I think more and more people are starting to realize that, but as I continue to get wiser, it's like, okay, no, I thought I wanted this, but it's not what I wanted. It was just something that from a certain age I was ingrained to want, but that's not what I want. So it's kind of undoing your mental thought process to understand what is it, the path that you really want. And so I just think that this is an important topic for really anyone about trying to figure out what it is that they want and the pressure points that they may have in their life. It's really to sit down and think about what is it you want and not what kind of American template of a life that you feel like you need to live. So I really hope this is beneficial for a lot of people. I appreciate everyone checking it out. And hopefully it helps more than just the adoptees, other people who also have this maybe contemplation within themselves. And at the end of the day, yeah, I just want to make sure it helps people. So thanks for tuning in, and see you next week.